Good morning. This is Matt Sexton with the Florida Department of Transportation's CAD office. Welcome to Exploring FDOTConnect, part 3 of our continuing series of webinars on getting started with FDOTConnect for Open Roads Designer. As we start today, I'd like to point out that there is a question and answer dialogue for you to ask questions. My team is here to answer your questions via the Q&A dialogue, and if we have some time at the end, I'll field any questions that might not have been answered. If there are any questions that don't get answered today, we'll be compiling them in a question and answer document with this webinar. This webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on our website along with the Q&A document under the section entitled Posted Webinars. That should be posted within a week or so after the webinar. And I'll take a moment at the end of the presentation to go and show you where that is on the website, although I did show you last week, or not last week, week before. In today's webinar, we're going to discuss the FDOTConnect folder and shortcuts, the FDOTConnect workspace, the FDOTConnect ribbon, create file, and other FDOTConnect tools. Much like the previous webinar, this is very much introductory training. While we will be going into a bit more detail about the functionality of the workspace itself, we won't necessarily be going into too much technical detail about the FDOT workflow in FDOTConnect and Open Roads Designer. Part 4 of this series will certainly be more in-depth with regard to file and model management workflow. So to review our previous introductory webinar, the FDOTConnect installation creates a desktop folder and various launch icons depending on what applications you have installed. However, also included in the FDOTConnect desktop folder are shortcuts to a number of useful applications and resources, and I'd like to go over those with you. There are 4 shortcuts that provide access to information and resources relevant to FDOT projects and software, as well as support for FDOTConnect. The CAD GoToMeeting shortcut allows you to connect to GoToMeeting for screen sharing and support with the FDOT CAD office staff. If you call the CAD office for support, we will often use GoToMeeting to connect with you and assist you with troubleshooting and training. Clicking this shortcut will take you to a page where you can enter the 9-digit meeting ID number that we will provide for you. The CAD Support Community shortcut takes you to FDOT's CAD Support Community page on the Bentley Community site. We sometimes use this page as a knowledge base for known issues and a place to post additional resources or minor fixes to the software. If you post a question, we can respond to your request on the Communities page and assist you. The CAD Website shortcut, sort of self-explanatory, takes you directly to the FDOT CAD office website at www.fdot.gov/CAD. On our CAD office website, you can find software, downloads, documents, training opportunities, and resources, and a link to request further support. The Request CAD Support shortcut takes you to our CAD office issue log portal. From this portal, you can submit a support request or report a bug. I monitor the portal throughout the day and distribute the support request to the appropriate support personnel to assist with troubleshooting and training. If you haven't checked out the Request CAD Support issue log portal, you should check that out. It's a great way to get support from us. Now here are 2 shortcuts that can be particularly useful when you run into problems with the FDOTConnect software. You might be familiar with them already from FDOT SS4. A little bit different: Clear Crash and Workspace Doctor. Clear Crash immediately shuts down Open Roads Designer, MicroStation Connect Edition, and Open Bridge Modeler. You can use this tool to close applications if they get frozen or if they're starting to crash. It doesn't delete any temporary files, so it likely won't resolve the cause of the crash, but it functions as a quick way to exit the application if you get stuck. Workspace Doctor, on the other hand, can assist in resolving some issues, and it's often the first thing we recommend doing if you're experiencing crashes or unexplainable behavior in FDOTConnect or the related applications. The new FDOTConnect edition of Workspace Doctor can perform several different functions. It can run Clear Crash, which closes, of course, like I said, the frozen or crashing instances of Bentley products and Excel. And it also can move user-level configuration files and user preference files to the recycling bin, effectively deleting them. Workspace Doctor also deletes user-specific temporary files and temporary user preference files. All of these exist as individual items that can be enabled or disabled when running Workspace Doctor, depending on your specific need. These options can be toggled by buttons on the left of the dialog, allowing you to select all, select none, invert the selection. Conveniently displayed at the bottom of Workspace Doctor, you'll see the values for the variables specifying the location of your installation as well as your worksets folder. So if you're ever in doubt as to where those are installed or what those variables might say, you can check that through Workspace Doctor. New to the FDOTConnect version of Workspace Doctor, these options can be enabled and disabled via voice command. For more information about Workspace Doctor's voice commands, you can simply tap F1 or say help. It's a neat new little functionality there. Another tool included in the FDOTConnect desktop folder is the LandXML Visualizer. LandXML Visualizer was created by FDOT to allow users to visualize LandXML data without having to open a CAD program and import the LandXML. LandXML Visualizer from the is available from the FDOTConnect desktop folder. To use it, all you do is select a LandXML file to open, and LandXML Visualizer will contain a number of tools and options for exploring that LandXML and performing measurements. This is an excellent option for users who need to review LandXML files, but who aren't CAD users. Always mindful of the future of project delivery, FDOT has created a tool to digitally sign XML files, such as reports or even LandXML, using the same sort of digital signature certificate that you'd use to sign your project PDF. The process is relatively intuitive, and the application can be launched from the FDOT.XML signing shortcut located in the FDOTConnect desktop folder. Now that you're familiar with some of the shortcuts available in the FDOTConnect desktop folder, let's talk about launching FDOTConnect. I know I covered this in the previous webinar. When FDOTConnect is installed on a workstation or client machine, it automatically creates desktop shortcuts and shortcuts in the FDOTConnect desktop folder, depending on what Connect Edition applications you have installed. Today we're going to be using OpenRoads Designer as the example. If you have OpenRoads Designer installed, FDOTConnect will create shortcuts for FDOT and FDOT right-of-way. These shortcuts load different resources depending on whether you are using FDOTConnect for a roadway project or for right-of-way. To launch OpenRoads Designer from the FDOTConnect workspace, simply double-click on one of the icons. And if this is the first time you've launched FDOTConnect, it's important to remember to select the FDOT workspace from the Workspace Select drop-down menu, like we discussed in the previous webinar. And again, to do this, locate the Workspace drop-down menu near the top left of the Application File Open screen. This drop-down menu will either say No Workspace, or it'll display the name of the last workspace you were in. So you select FDOT from the drop-down. You can see here's where it says No Workspace. Because this is a fresh installation, I'm selecting FDOT right there. We previously covered how to create a new workset from the FDOT workset template and how all FDOT worksets will contain a blank DGN file called _blankfile.dgn. You need to start by opening that file so you can create further files for your FDOT project. As many of you know, Bentley has adopted a ribbon UI as the main interface for accessing tools and resources in the Connect Edition applications. OpenRoads Designer, Connect Edition, and other Connect Edition applications use a Workflows drop-down menu to configure this ribbon. This changes which tools are displayed on the ribbon, displaying tools that are relevant to that workflow. The Workflow Selection drop-down menu is located at the top left corner of the OpenRoads Designer application window. In this screen capture, you can see that the workflow menu is set for OpenRoads Modeling. This is the workflow from which you'll be able to access the FDOT ribbon. There you see OpenRoads Modeling with the big red arrow. After selecting a workflow, selecting the different tabs across the top of the ribbon will display different ribbon configurations within that workflow. For example, in OpenRoads Modeling workflow, selecting the FDOT tab will display the customized FDOT ribbon and corresponding FDOT tools and resources. I'd like to take a moment to preface this presentation by saying that we are in the process of updating the FDOT ribbon to match more closely with the FDOT ribbon in our Civil 3D State Kit. We're also updating the Civil 3D ribbon, so kind of meeting halfway. While all of the tools I'm going to show you today will still be on the ribbon in the future, they may be in a slightly different location, or the tool group names might change slightly. I will be updating this webinar. Like I said, we're posting a recording of this webinar shortly. I'll be re-recording the webinar to reflect those changes so that it'll be up to date when those changes are made. The FDOTConnect ribbon currently is divided into a number of different tool groups. These different groups are similar to the different menus available in previous FDOT workspaces, so they should seem familiar to you if you're familiar with the FDOT menu from FDOT SS4. The different groups include Actions, Cell Apps, Roadway Tools, Traffic Tools, QC, Resources, and Help. And again, like I said, that may change with the next release. It's just going to be some minor modifications just to make it more ergonomic. The Actions section of the FDOT ribbon contains the following tools: the FDOT Create File tool, Set Coordinate System tool, the FDOT Level Filters tools, and Linked Data Manager. The Create File tool is used for creating DGN files for FDOT projects. I alluded to this last time. This tool helps to maintain FDOT file naming standards, file and folder location standards, and proper seed file selection for each file type. Bear in mind that unlike the original Create File tool, this new tool will only run inside the FDOT workspace and cannot be launched by itself outside of the workspace. It's been that way for a little while, but it bears repeating. The top section of the Create File dialog displays settings for selecting what file will be created. The Workset field is automatically populated based on the workset that was selected when FDOTConnect was launched. File names are organized according to discipline. The discipline selection drop-down menu allows for selection of the following disciplines: architectural, geotechnical, mechanical electric, roadway, right-of-way, and structures. Certain disciplines divide those standard file names further into file groups, which you see a drop-down there for. For example, roadway also has traffic plans, lighting, signalization, file groups like that. So the file types list box located below the Create File tool drop-down settings menus displays the list of available file names for the selected discipline and file group. Much like any Windows file list dialog, you can sort these file names by clicking on the column heading. That's to say, you can alphabetize them by either the base file name or by the description. Not a lot of options there, but still worth noting. Below the file list, you can see the base file name of the selected file, and you can enter an optional modifier to the file name. Now, the sequence number field, while changeable, is automatically populated on the next available sequence number in your project for that base file name. For example, if you select align RD and there's not already an align RD for your project or in your project, the sequence number will automatically be populated by 01 to create a align RD 01, which is what you see here in the screen capture. If there already exists an align RD 01 in your project, the field will be populated by 02 and align RD 02 will be created. Below these fields, you'll see the workset path, including the discipline folder and output file name. And below that list, excuse me, below the file list and output file information, the output folder and seed file fields display the folder in which the file will be created and the seed file that will be used to create the file. And while these fields are modifiable, bear in mind that these fields are populated based on FDOT standards, so I'd recommend that you accept the default settings typically. Before creating the file, you need to set the geographic coordinate system. To do this, simply select the county which your project is in. The coordinate system automatically populates based on the selected county. So you don't have to pick the county and the coordinate system. It'll go ahead and select that for you. The final field in the dialog displays actions that will be run when the file is open. These actions are often the creation of additional models in the file. You can see in this screen capture the number of models are being created in the align RD file. The create file tool requires that the file be opened immediately after creation so that these actions can be run. For that reason, that's why it says create open file on the button instead of just create and open. And of course, if you want to close the dialog, simply select the close button on the bottom right. The next tool on the FDOT ribbon is the coordinate system selector. This tool performs the same task as selecting the county and coordinate system in the create file tool. And so for that reason, it's unlikely that you'll need to use this tool. And during the updating of the ribbon, we may actually remove this tool from the ribbon. May not, we might, don't know yet. And you can see, much like the create file, there's a little drop down so that you can select your county. The filters drop down is the next item on the menu, and that allows the user to turn on and off the FDOT level filters, as well as select to display the 100 through 5,000 foot major annotations. FDOT has implemented automatic level filters based on file name. These level filters allow the user to easily access only the standard levels that should be used in any given file. To that end, some designers prefer to turn off the level filters to see additional levels, and that's sort of a personal preference. Turning off the level filter will disable the level filters for the current session, which means they'll be restored when FDOTConnect is relaunched. The next tool on the FDOT ribbon is Linked Data Manager, or LDM. This might be a familiar tool to you. It's for placing linked text and linked spreadsheet data in DGN files. I'd say most commonly it's used for drawing summary boxes. FDOTConnect is delivered with a selection of templates for standard summary boxes specifically configured to work with LDM. And I'm going to briefly demonstrate this tool a little bit later in the presentation because it is a very important tool. The Cell App section is the next section that's on the ribbon, and it contains the following tools: the Cell Libraries menu, Cell Webpages menu, Cell Search, and Cell Splatter tool. The Cell Libraries drop-down menu provides access to the FDOT cell libraries. Selecting a cell library from the drop-down will open the cell library dialog and automatically attach that selected cell library. And as you can see, this includes cell libraries for roadway, sheets, traffic control, right-of-way survey, and a number of traffic plans related cell libraries. It's also a split button, which means by clicking the top portion, you'll be selecting the last item that was selected from that menu, which is typically by default the actual cell libraries library. By clicking the bottom portion of the split button, it'll allow you to actually select from that dropdown. The Cell Webpages dropdown, also a split button, provides access to the FDOT cell web pages. The cell web pages are a web page-like interface for viewing and placing cells. And this is, again, like I said, another split button. Selecting the top portion will take you to the main FDOT cells cell web page. Selecting the bottom portion will give you a drop-down menu where you can select from a number of different cell web pages. The FDOT Cell Search tool is newly created for FDOTConnect. It allows you to search for specific cells by keyword within the FDOT cell libraries. You can clear that list and add only specific cell libraries to that list, or you can use the buttons at the bottom to add the default libraries back in there. And the search results are displayed as a list with a preview window on the right, a very, very handy tool. Right. The Roadway Tools section of the FDOT ribbon contains the following tools. We have the Create Existing Features, Attach Survey Reference, and Copy Reference Level. I'm not going to go into too much detail about these tools in today's webinar because they will be covered in depth in a future webinar. The Traffic Tools section of the FDOT ribbon contains the FDOT Signs or ORD Sign Assemblies tool, as well as the Pavement Marking tool, which is, it says Pavement Marking, but it is the Pavement Marking tool, according to the dialog. The FDOT Signs or ORD Sign Assemblies tool is for the purpose of placing sign assemblies, unsurprisingly. This replaces the functionality of the Draw Sign tool available in previous FDOT workspaces, and this tool will be demonstrated in more detail in a future webinar, just to make you aware that it exists. The Pavement Marking tool is another brand new FDOT tool for drawing pavement markings, and it replaces some of the functionality of the pavement marking features of DNC Manager, again from previous workspaces, and this tool will also be demonstrated in more detail in a future webinar. Now we get to the best part of the FDOT ribbon, which is the quality control section of the FDOT ribbon, and it contains tools for checking your project files for compliance with FDOT CADD standards. If you've used previous FDOT workspaces, you're likely to be familiar with the QC batch tool. This application scans the selected files and creates a summary report containing the percentage of compliance for all of the files in the list. This is also known as the QC inspector report. QC Check or QC Quick is FDOT's main QC tool. This application scans the current file for compliancy and returns a list of elements that failed compliancy. You can then use QC Quick to correct the non-compliant elements. It does display that list for you to work with. It's important to note that the files are no longer considered critical and non-critical. Previously, there was a 95% compliancy standard for critical files and a 80% compliancy standard for non-critical files. This has now been changed to a 90% compliancy for all files. There's no longer critical or non-critical. Everything is considered critical. The QC Stop option disables the QC check that happens when a file is closed. Selecting this option will disable QC for the entire FDOTConnect session. Relaunching FDOTConnect will re-enable QC check. Some people like to occasionally disable QC, so it makes it quicker to switch between files, especially if the files have multiple models, because that does take some amount of time. But bear in mind that you will have to go back and update the QC on those files if you do disable it. Okay, so I got a fancy screen cap on this slide. The resources section of the FDOT ribbon is exactly that. It's links to useful resources. This will probably, the name of this group will probably change with the update, but again, I'll be updating the webinar. Under the Explore Directories drop-down menu, you can access the current workset or current working directory. There's also an option to access the FDOTConnect folder. This can be particularly useful when you're troubleshooting. If you don't know exactly where your FDOTConnect server folder is, that link will take you directly there. Sometimes I find myself on a GoToMeeting and I want to troubleshoot something on the FDOT server. I'm like, okay, well, where's your FDOT server located? And not everyone knows off the top of their head exactly where the FDOT server installation is. So this link does provide a quick way to get there. The resources section also includes a number of links to useful resources from both FDOT and other agencies on the web. The final section of the FDOTConnect ribbon is the Help section. This section provides links to help and support for FDOTConnect, access to Workspace Doctor, again, which we talked about earlier, and additional information about the FDOTConnect workspace. And speaking of support, don't forget that you can always email cad.support@dot.state.fl.us or request CAD support directly from the shortcut in the FDOTConnect desktop folder. Now I'm going to do a brief live walkthrough of all the things that I mentioned today, because we are making good time, which means I'm going to have plenty of time to answer questions at the end. So let me just minimize that. Oh, there's Eugene again, wearing his little polo. Something, something, joke about CAD support, etc. I'm launching the software. There we are. Okay, here we are, again, in the File Open section. Like I mentioned before, you can see that I've opened up the FDOT workspace before in this installation. That's why FDOT was selected under the FDOT workspace. It automatically populates your work sets in the Workset dropdown, so it knows that I'm in the FDOT workspace. It's going to show me all of my FDOT work sets. I'm going to select this one. You can browse your work set and look for files. That's how you get to that blank file DGN if you've not opened the Workset before. This does show the most recently opened files. And I guess I had created a DSGN RDO1 at some point. Connect Advisor is open on my other screen. I apologize that I didn't get everything on the same screen. Okay, there's Connect Advisor. We do have that installed. I'm going to close that. So brief tour here. This is the workflow selection dropdown up at the top left. You can see as I select different workflows, it does change the ribbon. I'm selecting the Open Roads modeling workflow. As you tab across, just like any other application with a ribbon, it does change that ribbon. Selecting FDOT takes you to the customized FDOT ribbon. We have the element selection tool on the far left because that's just handy to have. This is where you launch the Create File tool. Here's the Create File tool. Do notice that the Worksets dropdown is automatically populated with your workset. You can select different disciplines and file groups. And I'm going to go ahead and create that align RD that I mentioned earlier. The align RD is going to be created using the seed2d file by default. However, you'll notice model create. It's got multiple models that it is going to create regardless. So let's go ahead and hit create open. Oh, select my county. Leon sounds like a great place. It's okay. It's where I live. All right, the file has been created. I'm clicking close to close that out. And to show you what it did do, I'm clicking the home tab again to go back to the main Open Roads modeling. I've got my models dialog here. And you see it did create that super elevation model. Going back to the FDOT tab, here's that coordinate system tool I mentioned. And here's LDM. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this real quick. So I'm going back to create file, and I'm looking for my summary of quantities. Wait. Suddenly not totally sure I'm in the right place. There we are, summary of quantities. I'm creating that file. Whoops, I did it wrong. Candy, would you mind typing into the chat the action that we need to add to that right here, if you're connected? There's an additional action that we will be adding to the create file that's going to create a sheet for you for the summary of quantities or other sheet type files. Okay, I don't see it. Okay, I'll just interpret this myself. Hang on. Okay. So I've already created a sheet model here because our summary of quantities will be done in a sheet model with LDM. And I'm going to create a new link. I'm going to link a spreadsheet. I'm going to do that by selecting an existing file. I just want to show you how this updates. So I know for a fact that my summary of sidewalk is blank. All I have is the template. And that's going to take just a second. Click OK. And you can see it adds that summary box to the cursor. Enter a data point to place it. There you go. And then, of course, I receive my summary box from whoever's supplying the summary of sidewalk. And I just download that from my email. And I'm going to put that in the calculations folder and replace the existing Excel file. Now that I have that information in there, I can simply update my summary box. And it takes just a second. And it populates all the information that was in that new spreadsheet. Just a little demo of LDM. Here's your cell libraries. As I said, you can select from the menu and it goes ahead and attaches the cell library that you select. And you see how the split button changes to whatever the last library was. Cell web pages. If I clicked right here, it takes me to the f.cell web pages on my other screen. Huh, that's great. Didn't expect that. The f.cell web pages, if I just click the button, if I select Roadway, it'll take me, oh, hey guys, I think we found a bug. Okay, right of way, photogrammetry. Let's go back to that Roadway cell web page. I'll demonstrate what I'm talking about. The Roadway library, and of course you can select, let's see, something that'll be about the right size on a sheet. How about that key map? And that's going to attach that cell directly to your cursor. Not that you'd place a key map in summary of sidewalk, but just for example. Cell search tool. I can clear all of these libraries off and then add only specific ones, which means, of course, I have to navigate to my FDOTConnect folder. Locate my cell libraries and say, okay, I want to add Roadway and Sheets and search for the word plan. And you see it's going to return a list of everything that has the word plan in it and give me a preview as I select. All right. Cell splatter tool I didn't go over, and I'm not going to go over. It's useful for two things in my understanding. One is landscape stuff, and the other is when I ask the question, hey, what's splatter cells good for? And people say landscaping. Those are the two purposes. Create existing features is here. Attach survey reference, copy reference level. That attach survey reference is the tool that attaches your servRD file, creates multiple instances of that attachment, and gives them logical names, applying level filters based on those logical names so that it's like attaching a topo file, existing drainage, existing utilities, and GDTM, all by attaching just that servRD file. FDOT Signs tool, pavement markings, quality control. Again, that Explore directory, see I can go to current Workset, and it's going to open up Windows Explorer in my current working directory. And FDOTConnect, that's going to take me directly to my FDOTConnect folder. There's your FDOT links, your web links, links to support, Workspace info, and Workspace Doctor. And of course, it is voice activated, so if I said select all, select none, select one, I'll have to hit help. It's going to bring up the help. There we are. Oh, checkbox 1 is what it's, okay. Haven't memorized command. Checkbox 1, checkbox 1, There we are. Run Doctor. And of course, that was me closing FDOTConnect for you. Okay, we're about 40 minutes in. I've got about 20 more minutes in this webinar for you. So I'm going to go ahead and check out some of the questions, see if there's any questions that I have not that have not been answered by the team over there. Is there a tool for creating key sheets? No, but there's a workflow for creating key sheets, and we will be going over that in a future future webinar. Wow, y'all have really got all these questions answered. That's fantastic. What's the difference between FDOT roadway and FDOT right-of-way? That's specifically some of the configurations are different. Depends on what you're working on, is which one you select. Could I show where the drawing tools are? Absolutely. It's going to take just a second to get that launched. All of the launching is happening on the other screen, so there we are. Let's just go to this file. Okay. So the question is, where are the drawing tools? If you look through the workflows here in the top left, you'll see there is a drawing workflow, and this is where you'll find your standard drawing tools. So you do have your place smart line, your place align, copy, rotate, etc. If you go back to Open Roads Modeling, you'll see you have the civil drawing tools under geometry. Okay, got more questions coming. I installed FDOTConnect and installed the ORD and ROW icons and all other items. However, do not see the FDOT ribbon. I do not see the FDOT workset. Okay, that may be something that can be solved by taking a look at the previous webinar. The installation process, when you're installing OpenRoads Designer, you have to point it to the ultimate location of the FDOTConnect custom configuration. That is, of course, you have not yet installed FDOTConnect, but you have to know where you're going to install it, and you tell OpenRoads Designer during that configuration portion of the installation. There's also a way to fix it after the fact. That's on page 27 of the installation guide. So take a look at that. If you're not seeing the FDOT workspace in the workspace selection dropdown, then it may be that you just missed a step during the installation, and that's pretty easy to fix. Is there a workflow for summary of drainage structure sheets? Not quite yet. We're working on that. Is there structures workspace only intended? Is the structures workspace only intended to be used with OBM? I don't have a good answer for that, but currently we are working on OBM for structures. In order to connect a spreadsheet using LDM, does the spreadsheet have to be in a specific format? If so, where can I find that format? We do include all those templates for you with LDM. And yes, it does have to be in a specific format. You can locate those by selecting Create from Template. And you'll see here's all the text templates. If you go to Computation Summary Boxes, that is where the summary boxes, the XLS files are, the Excel files. So those are already pre-formatted for you to match the standards. Can I explain how the borders will work? Yes, the borders will be in sheet models from now on. So there's a named boundary process, and also you saw I just created a sheet border for something that's just going to be a sheet, like a summary box, and that can be created using a sheet model. We'll be going over sheet clipping. One of the questions is, can you show us tools for sheet clipping? We'll be going over that in a future webinar. We're sort of spacing out these webinars just a little bit so that when you get to the point that you're doing these tasks, we'll already have a webinar ready for you, and we're trying not to front end load it too much so that we can make sure that our workflow is as polished and ready for you as it can be rather than diving in too quickly. Let's see what else I have. Will there be a future webinar for sheet index management? Yes, that will be included possibly in the next webinar with file and model management, or alternatively in a subsequent one where we go over more of the plants production workflow. Has the ribbon completely gotten rid of toolbars, or can you still pin toolbars? As far as I know, yeah, toolbars are gone. It's just the ribbon now. Let's see. Okay, so can I please explain the attached survey reference in a little bit more detail? Yeah. Let's see, I don't have a servrd file right now, but if I did, what would happen is selecting the attached survey reference would, I'm going to just open up my models dialog so I can gesture at it, make a little bit more sense. When you select attached survey reference, it would attach your servrd file, and it would attach it 4 times. It's going to give each of those instances a different logical name. TopoRD, existing drainage, DrexRD, UTexRD for existing utilities, and GTTM. Each of those instances is going to represent one of the 4 aspects of that servrd, and a level filter will be applied based on those logical names. So your level filter for the TopoRD attachment will filter it so it looks like a TopoRD. The existing drainage level filter will be applied to the existing drainage attachment. So here you have a file, the servrd, that contains all of these things, but this tool will attach it multiple times and make it look like you actually have 4 separate references, just to make it easier for you to manage those levels, turning the different attachments on and off. Okay. All right, a number of these questions are things that I want to get more verbose answers on that I will include in the document, so I do apologize if I haven't gotten to them yet. I do realize some of these are going to require a little bit more explanation, and so what I'll likely do is take a little time to find the best answer for these questions. I've got the team in there working real hard to get these answered, so I'm going to stick around for a little while and kind of go through these questions, but some of them will need a more verbose answer, so I'll include them in the document. Okay, someone says, we created custom cell libraries in SS4. Will we have to recreate them in FDOTConnect? There may be some compatibility issues, depending on what you've done with those cell libraries, so there's a possibility. It really depends. Okay, and another thing I wanted to show you while I'm here is, once again, if you go to our website, fdot.gov/CADD, CADD, and you select CAD posted webinars, you'll find under FDOT MicroStation Connect, which is not, when you change the name of that heading, the Getting Started for FDOTConnect Part 1 and Part 2, and then we will have the Q&A documents posted with that. So this is where you will find this webinar posted. Where is Create KMZ located? That's a good question. I can tell you one thing I love about OpenRoads Designer is you can just, there you are, file export visualization types, and that'll allow you to create that KMZ. Just if you can't find a tool in the ribbon and you're not sure where it is, but you're fairly certain you know what it's called, you can search in that search field. So if you haven't already tried searching in that search field for, let's see, hey, is XYZ text still a thing? No, it is not. Just curious. Anyways, so if you know of a tool name and you can't find it on the ribbon, you can type in that search box and it will locate it for you. Let's see, what else is there? Can you have a split screen of SS4 and Connect and show where things are? Well, certainly. there's a lot of tools that have moved and are in different places, and it would take a lot more to compare, each F.SS4 facet to an FDOTConnect tool. And really, philosophically, we're moving forward, so I'd rather go through FDOTConnect and show you FDOTConnect rather than compare it to F.SS4. A lot of people asking about reference sheet borders, and we will answer that question in the Q&A. AccuDraw shortcuts. Well, that's a great question. Are the AccuDraw shortcuts still there? The answer is yes. Some of them have changed. I think they changed the, there was one that changed. It was the, I want to say it was the switch from polar to rectangular. That shortcut has changed. I think it's M now. Yeah, it's no longer the spacebar because the spacebar is used for something different. So M changes you from polar to rectangular. All of those AccuDraw shortcuts are still there, yes. Let's see, keyboard shortcuts. Can the AccuDraw shortcuts be customized? Yes. How to get AutoTurn? I believe the most recent AutoTurn is compatible with not FDOTConnect specifically, with Openubg Designer. So yes, I believe you can do that. How do you map the spacebar? Imagine you're referring to AccuDraw. I think the spacebar is already mapped to something, which doesn't necessarily preclude you from changing that. Let's see, space. Yeah, it's set for ribbon pop-up admin interface pop-ups. So if I hit space, it brings up this pop-up menu. And yeah, you could edit that if you wanted to. You could delete the spacebar functionality from AccuDraw and then apply it to something else. Will old MicroStation key-in commands work with Openubg Designer? It's a strong possibility. The key-in is still there, the key-in browser. So depending on what your key-in is, I mean, many of them are still the same. I'd say go ahead and just explore that. GEOPAK is going away. What is replacing it? Openubg Designer. Openubg Designer has all of the modeling tools you'll need for your 3D modeling. There are admittedly some tools, some functionalities of GEOPAK that are still being worked on by Bentley, and we are working with them, like Asset Manager for automated quantities. But yes, Openubg Designer is what's replacing GEOPAK. Go to the end of the list to see what's yet to be answered. Can you still dock and separate a window to show your references? Let's see, oops. Grab my references. Where's my reference dialog? It's hiding somewhere. Oh, it's hiding under my GoToMeeting. You can still dock your reference dialog, yeah. And you can still pin the reference dialog to the bottom. So you still have that option. That is absolutely still there. Yes, question, are we going to have Link Data Manager? Yes, that's already in there. That already works. Do the F shortcuts still work? Oh, yeah, we still have the, whoops. We still have the the function keys are still set for the familiar F.dot functionality. Okay, we are getting on near the top of the hour, so we do have a lot of great questions. We are going to save this list of questions, and for those of you who didn't get your questions answered, we are going to provide much more robust, verbose answers to try to explain what we can for you. Things that I wasn't able to answer immediately off the cuff right now that might require a little bit of explanation, or things that we might incorporate into the next webinar. Oh, looks like we got a bunch of fresh new questions. Okay, these are things I'll go ahead and answer in the FDOTConnect Q&A for this webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. A lot of great questions. Where will the unanswered questions be located is one of the questions, and I can answer that. It'll be located here. If you go to the posted webinars page, it'll be under the Connect section we will have, I'm not sure why the Q&A from the first two is not yet posted, and that's just fine. We'll get those posted as well. But the Q&A will be posted right here. It'll say getting started with FDOTConnect, part 3. There'll be a description, and the Q&A will be right here in this column, much like the Q&A for these webinars. So that's where the questions will be. Okay, again, thanks to everyone. I'm going to go ahead and save this Q&A log real quick. Thanks for everybody for attending. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and there you go.